Eve and Captain Marvel are both female characters who had their powers locked. Yet everyone loves Eve and hates Captain Marvel. But what made the big difference between this inspiring female superhero and a forgettable one? There are 4 key reasons why Adam Eve's arc works so well, while Captain Marvel is filled with hate. And in this video, I'll be breaking it down one by one, starting with their growth. Although they do have a lot of similarities, their themes are complete polar opposites. In Invincible, Adam Eve endures many setbacks to become who she is today.
I'm not gonna make it, am I? I can feel it. Take care of my baby.
She was created in a lab as a potential weapon for the US military, and was only able to escape when her mother Polly and Dr. Elias grew attached to the baby.
She begged me to make sure you had a life, that you didn't grow up in a lab. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I did this to you. Be careful. This woman is in grave danger.
They fled to Valley Hospital, where Polly gave birth and swapped with the stillborn baby of Betsy and Adam to get her out of the life where she would be used as a weapon by the US military.
Bad things they just happened.
We all thought she was gone, but she came back to us.
She then gets to live a relatively normal life with her adoptive parents until she started drawing molecules and building them out of Legos.
Sam sure loves her Legos, huh? Like she could just see them in her head.
That's when she gets sent into another hurdle, a special school for gifted children where she meets Val, her official first friend.
I'm Val, the even weirder weirdo who lives across the street from you.
That's when she finally discovered her powers.
Back change!
But when she finally trusted her enough to show her powers in a game of truth or dare,
Tell me something you've never told anyone. Something your parents would be super pissed about.
Val was horrified and she ended up alone again, forcing her to move to a public school.
Stop! I said stop! Val!
You're asking me.
Just when you think that she has attained her stable life, the government finds out she's alive. They do everything they can, sending her replacements to go after her. There was no way they were letting a potential nuclear weapon get away.
You have to let her go. She's just a child.
Not only did she get captured, she had to witness Polly and Dr. Elias die right in front of her.
Damn it!
On her birthday, nonetheless.
And where have you been? She's late for her own birthday.
This traumatic experience she went through made her miss her own birthday party and got her into a fight with her father. Even during her time on Teen Team, she finally had a group of people who actually understood her powers. But it all changed when her boyfriend Rex cheated on her.
Oh, God! Are you kidding me, Kate?
And she had to make the difficult decision to quit a superhero group she liked. At this point, she lucked out and the auditions for the Guardians of the Globe opened. And she was offered a position, but she ultimately rejected it because she couldn't stand being on the same team as Rex.
I can't be on the same team as Rex and Kate.
Her powers reflect the trials she has to go through. There are always times when she has to make difficult decisions and create a path for herself, just like her powers, which can create and control matter. On the other hand, Captain Marvel was manipulated under the guise of a lesson on how to control her emotions, a sign of control, suppression, and expecting her to conform to their expectations.
Freeing you to do what all Kree must. Put your people's needs before your own. We've given you a great gift.
She never really needed to struggle. Every obstacle that was placed in front of her was easily overcome. During the mission on the first planet, she was the sole person who got isolated. Even after being captured by a Skrull, she was easily able to come back and end up escaping anyways. On the first planet, she was the sole person who got isolated, but she ended up escaping. Even on Earth, her sole mission was to make sure she got back to her planet, which was thwarted when she finally realized that she was originally a human. A pilot that destroyed the core Mar-Vell has been working to construct, which conveniently transferred its energy to her. Her powers were handed to her on a silver platter, and when Kree came to hunt her down, once again, she ended up escaping and beating them up anyways. There is no need for her to fight for anything, and even if she did, she doesn't remember an ounce of it. She effortlessly destroys everything, which is the polar opposite of Adam Eve. This fundamental difference in powers demonstrates the difference in terms of how much control is given to the characters. Adam Eve was given agency, and she had to always make things happen, but Captain Marvel didn't have any control. Things just lined up for her, which nicely ties in to the next point on why we feel attached to Eve, yet feel apathy towards Captain Marvel. Being able to care about a character requires a lot more than, oh, I'm weak and I want to get strong. It requires us to fully understand the character's why. And this very difference is the reason why Eve's arc resonates with so many people, while Captain Marvel's didn't. Eve demonstrates significant emotional vulnerability, particularly in response to loss and trauma. When Omni-Man's betrayal left its impact on Mark, she offered support knowing that he was in shock. This is compounded by her strained relationship with her adoptive parents, particularly her father, who cannot understand or accept her abilities, leading to friction and misunderstanding.
I've provided for this family longer than you've been alive.
She struggled between using her powers for good and appeasing her family. Eve took matters into her own hands when a building crumbled due to weak foundations. She thought she did a good deed restoring it, but the truth is that there was a need to rebuild the foundation of the building lest it crumble again.
The whole lot was unstable. That's why the city never built there. It's a miracle nobody was killed.
That's the moment she realizes that there was more than just fixing things with her powers.
People, your powers don't make you a hero. They make you dangerous.
That life wasn't so black and white. You can want to do good while simultaneously being unable to do anything at that point of time. Her internal struggles show, and she finally left her home to live in the forest to reflect on what she has to work on and understand that there were a lot of things she didn't know. Her complex relationship with friends and romantic interests, Mark Grayson in particular, was one where we see that she's more than just a superhero. Even when she had feelings for Mark, she had to hold back, respecting his relationship with Amber. She was able to mourn Rex Splod's death,
My first. Everything.
acknowledging her past love for him despite his infidelity and their complicated history, which reveals a capacity for complex grief and emotional depth. We can understand Eve's stakes. We understand why she fights for her causes. She cares about making an impact on the world and cares about protecting her family and her boyfriend. So it wasn't surprising that she became super popular when it was revealed that she was a badass with superpowers and was the one to assist Mark in killing Conquest. On the other hand, Captain Marvel acted as a soldier named Verse, and she had to learn how to control her powers. When she finally landed on Earth, her mission was to find her way back home. What seemed like a good twist, her having amnesia, was the worst plot device they could have had in the entire movie.
What's hard is losing my best friend in a mission so secret they act like it never even happened.
All the past tension, trauma, and reason for being were all resolved quickly without any psychological consequences.
Is that really who you are now? I don't know.
They existed, but it didn't make a single impact. She just remembers that it's her fault. But none of these add tension to the story. The plot device of amnesia eliminated every single stake Captain Marvel had. The only moment we see an ounce of her why is when she finally realizes the Kree were manipulating her.
Veers.
My name is Carol.
She finally turned on them and fought for the oppressed Skrulls. The lack of stakes make her a flat character. Invincible? Almost. A key difference in each character's stakes affects how the viewers view them through our lenses. We get to see Eve demonstrate growth through weakness, maturity through mistakes she made, and her evolutions came with grief, isolation, and trauma that were tied to her powers. It allows us to relate to someone who is imperfect, just like all humans. But Captain Marvel was depicted as the strong woman achieving strength without due process. She had no fight, no rising, all external factors were removed using amnesia, and it was hard for anyone to relate to a perfect hero. But beyond just their stakes, the way they view the world is completely different. The very ideals that drive Eve and Captain Marvel showcase another fundamental difference in their character arcs. Their core beliefs about heroism, shaped by their unique origins and conflict, set them on two completely different paths. Eve starts with an almost overwhelming, pure idealism.
I want to do something that matters.
Young and immensely powerful, she initially believes her powers hold the key to fixing the world's biggest problems: poverty, hunger, suffering. It's a beautiful, naive vision. But when that idealistic vision collides head-on with reality, frustration sets in. Eve discovers that her powers can't just solve all systemic issues. Sometimes her attempts at helping can be futile, or even backfire.
That's why the city never built there. It's a miracle nobody was killed.
She's forced to understand that there are limits to her intervention, that there is ambiguity that operates outside complete absolutes. She is guided by her personal and sometimes flawed moral compass, but that makes her human and relatable in her struggles. That's not even all. She also goes through profound shifts in idealism, going from hope to cynicism, but not to an extreme, just turning her blind hope into something that is more grounded, one that exists within the chaotic reality she lives in. And she starts accepting imperfection in herself and the world. On the other hand, Captain Marvel's ideals didn't belong to her. Her Kree handlers instilled them. She was programmed as a person with a sense of duty, maintaining order and fighting the Skrulls, the designated enemy. But when she finally realized that she had been lied to the entire time, that they took advantage of her having amnesia,
You're weak. You're flawed. Helpless.
she awakens the underlying human sense of right and wrong, pivoting towards justice. Seeking to fight for the wronged Skrulls, dedicating herself to protecting her home planet Earth, she becomes set in stone with traditional heroic values. Fight the oppressors, defend the innocent, and stand for what is right, instead of just maintaining order, giving her the image of a superwoman, one that has the ability to stand by herself, wielding cosmic abilities to defend others decisively. We see another stark contrast. Eve's narrative is one that's relatable, where we all start off young with idealistic views of the world until we get hit by reality, turning our morality into nuances, sometimes gray territory. But Captain Marvel went from an externally imposed duty into traditional heroism, both of which are not relatable. But there is just one more key difference why Eve's arc was way better. No one likes the kid who got his riches from his parents. And it's the same thing with superheroes. Eve had to fight for her powers. She was empowered to make difficult choices, leaving behind her troubled home and teen team to forge her own path forward. She committed to using her powers for humanitarian purposes and also opted for non-violent solutions when possible, like reasoning with Angstrom. We watched her go through all that, only to see her finally standing up to a main villain. Conquest.
You're already getting tired!
But she just wasn't strong enough. We watched her go through her struggles, only to find her dead by the hands of the enemy.
So pretty.
But this is where Eve gets her beauty. She finally unlocked her powers that have been sealed her whole life. Playing a huge role in helping Mark beat Conquest. Without her, Earth might just be ruled by Viltrumites now. Not only that, she was given the only revival in the show. We watched how she had to fight for her empowerment, only unlocking her powers when she exhausted all options. But Captain Marvel never had to fight for anything. She always had the chip on her neck that restricted her powers. We see her float in and out, talking to Mar-Vell, only to have an anticlimactic unlock. We watch her rip off the chip off her own neck, finally accessing her power. You mean she could do that the whole time? Her unlocking her powers felt like a gimmick. Her narrative heavily frames empowerment as liberation from the external forces that held her back. The Kree lies, the inhibitor chip, the manipulation. But the worst part is that it felt forced. We see the stark difference of Eve needing to grow, slowly empowering herself, while Captain Marvel literally took off her limiter. It shows the difference in what we think really is empowerment. Something that you have to fight for, that when people tear you down, you stand right back up. Superhero stories don't work because they show us powerful characters. They work because they reframe everything we thought we understood about power itself. Adam Eve and Captain Marvel reward different kinds of viewing experiences. When you realize that Eve's true strength comes from her struggles, you start looking back at all the moments where she made difficult choices. Signs of what was to come, her past traumas with her adoptive parents, the painful lessons on Teen Team, the isolation in the forest, her unrequited feelings for Mark. It's like playing a little game, putting pieces of the puzzle together.
Oh, damn! Oh!
Her evolution works because it was way more than just an "I'm powerful now" moment. It completely changed the lens of the viewer watching her story. We knew Eve had abilities, but her unleashing her full potential against Conquest, that's a revelation that feels earned, because we've witnessed every step of her painful journey. And the reveal when Captain Marvel simply removes the chip from her neck? It feels hollow because we never truly saw the cost of her journey. They spent the first half of Captain Marvel's story building a narrative that she just needed to remember who she was, dropping small hints without emotional weight. And when the big revelation comes, it lacks impact. Great superhero arcs turn the protagonist's journey inward. They make you question what defines true strength. Is it cosmic power that arrives for free? Or is it the messy, complicated process of finding meaning in your abilities? It's so hard to differentiate between power that matters and power that's just spectacle. which really draws a parallel to real-life growth. There might be times when we struggle with our own limitations, when we feel held back. The temptation is to believe we just need one breakthrough moment, one chip removed to become who we were meant to be. But Eve shows us the truth, that real empowerment comes through agency, through vulnerability, making difficult choices, and sometimes failing. That's why her story resonates while Captain Marvel's doesn't. One shows us power as a destination, the other shows us power as a journey. And in storytelling, just like in life, it's the journey that matters most. Speaking about journeys, do you remember the last time you saw a movie that just made everything click at the grand reveal? There's a specific craft on how movies make a twist so satisfying. You can't help but love it. So if you want to know how to foreshadow a grandiose twist, click here to watch that video.